Hey everybody, this is Dan with the Wealth Instinct. I wanted to share my blog post, Should Leaders Care About Your Emotional State? Before I get started, if you could subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notifications. So this blog really is sort of inspired by um, a particular book I read on leadership and also my own experience in the corporate world. And I got kind of jaded about corporate culture. And obviously, every company has a different culture, but just this idea of being of should leaders care about the emotions of the employees, and how does that affect the productivity, right? So we have this tendency to think, oh, it's just business, right? Like it's don't take it personally, it's just business. But if you think about productivity and you think about company culture, you need to have people, you need to have employees that are connected, that feel like their company cares about them. And if they don't feel like their company cares about them, they're not going to be signed on to the mission, right? So this book, Primal Leadership, I went through, you know, I basically went through a little phase where I got obsessed with leadership and leadership books and doing programs on leadership. And this book, Primal Leadership, I kind of stumbled on it, and when I first saw it, I was like, Primal Leadership, like what the heck? I thought this was like part of the paleo trend, and like, oh, try to be more primal. But that's not really what it's about at all. And it's actually by a team of authors, Daniel Goleman, um, who is the author of Emotional Intelligence. And this book really spoke to me. I really enjoyed it. And what their whole premise is that the leader's primary role is to create a positive environment, like create a resonance, right, in the work environment where there's this just sense of hope and sense of possibility, right? Because it's so easy in some of the leadership business programs I've done where you're creating mission statements and you're creating vision statements. It's so easy to create like fluffy, flowery statements. And if you read books, um, on like Good to Great, or books about what makes certain businesses successful. They talk about mission and vision, but it's easy to create those statements and make them kind of just meaningless, right? Like the leadership, if they create that in a vacuum and they don't have their whole company culture on board with that mission, then it's worthless, right? Because the leader could tell the people, oh, this is what we're trying to create this year, and the people are like, yeah, so you can get your bonus. What, how does it affect me? You know, and if the leader is not creating that resonance, if they're not really believing in their people, then you're not going to get the results that you want at the top. And if people aren't happy, that's why you have high turnover. That's why you have companies just keep saying, well, we're going to have to increase the pay and increase the bonuses, and they try to fix the problem that way instead of working on the culture. And the culture is like the most critical thing. Um, so check out that book. Awesome book, Primal Leadership. It's my favorite book on leadership so far. So, but why study leadership? So growing up, I never really was into leadership, and I think I just didn't have good role models. I mean, at least I didn't focus on the right ones, maybe. And so I was always kind of turned off by leadership. I always felt like leaders were people that were just full of themselves and wanted to boss people around, and I just kind of felt like turned off by it. And it wasn't until I owned a business that, I kind of had a mission, that I realized that how important leadership is, um, and I kind of changed my whole view of what leadership is. Like I used to think of leadership as just kind of like, the talking heads who are trying to get me to do something I don't want to do, and to me, that's not what leadership is about. Leadership's more about service, and leadership's more about caring about people and trying to just support them, just be supportive of them in their life. And, as a business owner, in the beginning, I was doing everything myself and I loved it, but it was exhausting. And so I needed to be able to have employees who could do what I was doing with the same passion that I had. And in the beginning, I saw no pathway to do that, and it seemed impossible. But by learning about leadership, by helping them grow, by caring about them, by sharing my mission with them, I was able to attract people who had a similar mission and wanted to grow. And it's really amazing to be able to give people growth opportunities and to share with them your passion and see that connection and see them take on that mission, of trying to help other people. And so the authors talk a lot about creating resonance, which is, kind of an odd word. It's not like a common expression, right? Um, but but it's really about just creating a positive environment, creating a sense of possibility, sense that to me, it's about creating a safe space. I think a lot of times one of the biggest reasons that we struggle in the world and the world's not better is because we don't have enough people who feel connected and like they're contributing to society. Like they feel disenfranchised. So they basically shut down partly, and they, at best they'll complain, and they'll just complain about stuff but never do anything to help it. And so if the leaders aren't creating that resonance where people have a safe space to feel that they can make mistakes and learn and grow, then you're really limiting your ability to grow as an organization, as a society, as a community, as a family. You need to be able to create an environment where everyone feels safe saying ideas that without people judging them and saying that was a dumb idea, like you have to come up with a lot of dumb ideas to get a really good idea, right? And sometimes an idea that sounds terrible might turn out to be brilliant. It's just that you haven't figured out a pathway to create it, right? And if people don't feel safe sharing those ideas, if they don't feel safe um, making mistakes, then you're never going to innovate. Like, and if you don't innovate, then your business isn't going to be around long, right? Like you have to be able to make mistakes. You have to be able to grow. You have to be able to try things that might not work in a safe space. And that's something leaders have to do. They have to create that reservoir of positivity. They have to create a safe environment for people to be happy and to feel connected and to feel like they can contribute. They have to feel a sense of positivity and a sense that they matter, right? And it's the leader's job to create that. And I think good to great, they talk about level 5 leaders, right? The fifth level is this level where they have this sort of trait, right? Where they're kind of quietly ambitious and humble, and they're but connected to the purpose and the mission. And they don't, they take blame for the team's failure, but they give the team credit for the team's success. You know, and bad leaders do the opposite. Bad leaders, when they fail, they blame everybody else, and when they succeed, they say, "Well, look how smart I am." You know, and I think part of the reason why toxic leadership is so prevalent is because when the culture doesn't create a safe space, then the people that tend to be the most successful are the ones who lack the emotional sensitivity, right? Like, so the people that do the best are the ones that aren't as connected emotionally, and they become leaders, and they sort of perpetuate this environment, right? And occasionally we get lucky and we get someone who survives a toxic environment and comes through and is able to create emotional resonance and is able to be supportive and create safe spaces. But I think the tendency is a toxic culture creates toxic leaders, until a leader comes along and interrupts that process and that flow. And so, I think it's something we need to change, and I think we can, but it takes work. And so if you're looking for, to learn about leadership and changing culture, Primal Leadership is awesome. Tribal Leadership is a really great book too. Good to Great is a great book. There's a lot of really good books out there. Mindset by Carol S. Dweck is not specifically about leadership, but she shares a lot of examples of leaders, and some that are have fixed or growth mindset, and how that affects the culture of the business. So thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notifications. All right, take care. Have a good day.